We've made it through the end of 2020 here, and this is the final episode of the year 2020, and it was a
Hmm.
fun one.
It was. I wasn't as high in it as you were. I'm still pretty confident about that, but it had some good moments, had some good pieces to it, and we'll definitely be able to get into that as we go here.
One
Um,
of the things I enjoyed about our conversation on Sunday was that the sketches that it seemed well, and we'll see as we go through this. It seemed like we were probably, when it comes down to it, our grades will probably be the same because the sketches I really liked, you didn't, and vice versa. There were
um,
very few that we were in agreement on.
I think there'll be some disparity in our grades, to be honest with you, but we shall see here. We shall see.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
so
Well, let's. You want to get started with the cold open?
yeah, let's dive right in here to the cold open, which was a replay of the Michael Pence receiving the COVID vaccine, and I thought this was a good. I mean, obviously it's political in nature, but it wasn't leaning into politics too much. It was, I think, a very like this would have been a very in a normal year. This would have been a very obvious sketch to do something like this. It had some very easy, low hanging fruit jokes, um, and some good chances for, I mean, Beck Bennett to stretch his wings a little bit,
Mhm.
and bringing also some numerous cast members, in the cold open, which I always like that.
The two big things that I noted here. Once it was kind of a good point that Karen Pence, she never really says I don't know much about her, and she wasn't allowed to speak in this sketch. So that kind of made me laugh a little bit, just because I don't think I've ever seen a quote from her.
Mother,
And then what's that?
mother. He calls her mother.
He calls her mother. And
Mhm.
then the other that I thought was kind of a big reveal was the new Joe Biden.
Yeah, that we were having a conversation midday Saturday in which Jim Carrey sent out a tweet saying that I thought it kind of ambiguously worded that he was happy to play Joe Biden the last 6 weeks. He didn't really say he was done. He just kind of said it was fun to play him, and that was kind of it. But other couple of pieces kind of put the breadcrumbs together to figure out that he is stepping down or no longer Joe Biden.
That tweet was ambiguous enough that we both read the same tweet and interpreted it two different ways. So that was nice to see that there was a clarification by the end of the night
Yeah.
on Saturday Night Live.
I mean, Alex Moffat did a fine, all right job. He had to look down, had some mannerisms, but he's got to work on the cadence. But it's that comes with time, and also like you do what you want to do with the impersonation. You don't have to be a perfect like mimicking of it. It could be your own twang on it. So I think that Moffat will grow into it, and this is a huge, obviously a huge boost for his status in the show.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm very happy for him because he's not, like a Beck Bennett or Keenan type of player. He this will be nice. This will be kind of his thing, and that's good news for him.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of moments in this. Obviously, Keenan did come out for a little bit as Ben Carson. Now, I don't recall seeing Keenan. Actually, was in the game show sketch, but he was off for a few weeks, right? But so he's back.
Yeah, he was pretty quiet. It was nice to have him back. He had a couple nice sketches this week.
I think I put down Keenan back in my show notes. That was a big
Did it get an
big
exclamation?
moment. I don't do exclamation points in my notes. No, so no.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Des Mukes got some time in the cold open, as did sorry, he didn't. No, I apologize, he didn't. Lauren Holt did as
No.
mother, of course.
Mother, yeah.
And Maya Rudolph came back as Vice President elect Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a nice open, a nice way to start.
It was fine. Yeah, it
Long.
was totally fine. I don't think there were any home runs, but it wasn't a loss in any way. It was fine.
Yeah. So we then go to the monologue with Kristen Wiig, and when alums come back, and you never know what to expect with like how they're going to handle things. And I texted you earlier in the day about like will there be any alums at her cold open, and will be that kind of stuff. In a normal year, for the Christmas episode, for someone like Kristen Wiig, I think you'd have a pretty big array of alums coming back to kind of drop in and hang out. But this year, probably that just can't happen.
Well, yeah, as you said in our text, the travel is kind of the wild card here. There's probably some hesitation to travel in to be on SNL. So any other year, you get a whole bunch more alum than you did this year.
And just popping in like
Yeah.
popping in at the last minute. At the last minute, I
Other
mean, like
than other than Maya, I don't think there really were
no,
any.
there wasn't. And I think like for an alum to come back for like a short bit in a sketch or whatever, like they don't need to be there all week. So I think that just like having something outside pop in on like Saturday morning or Friday afternoon, that's probably not the wisest choice right now. So it makes sense um, as to why that didn't happen. I thought maybe we'd see maybe Bill Hader, maybe Fred Armisen, but I think just with so many challenges with what's going on, it wasn't meant to be.
I would
Um,
have lost a lot of money on Fred Armisen. I would have put a lot of money on the fact that Fred would have been there. I was very surprised he wasn't.
yeah, he,
Yeah,
he was Bloomberg, right? That was it. He came out a little bit last year as a former New York City mayor, Michael Bloomberg. Um,
yep.
um,
Um, the I liked the monologue because it was a harken back to one of my very favorite SNL monologues, which was Christopher Walken singing "You say tomato, I say tomato,"
mm,
but he sang it "You say tomato, I say tomato. You say pajama, I say pajama," not understanding the concept of the song. And this was very similar. It's in my opinion, just the wrong lyrics and having to try to understand the meaning of the song. I got a chuckle out of it. I didn't guffaw, but I chuckled.
okay, yeah, and it was like obviously bringing up Kate McKinnon, who's kind of the high ranking female cast member right now, and a lot like Kristen Wiig. It made sense why she was part of that and included with that, and that was good. Um,
Kate McKinnon and
uh,
Kristen Wiig are very, very similar, and that's a compliment to both of them. That's not a knock on either one.
yeah, no, I definitely have a note here on that, and we'll get to that later. Now, this brings us to our Squarespace trivia question. Our Squarespace trivia question brought to you by Squarespace, the best place to launch a website. I think that's what they do. Use comment
I
code.
think so.
Use
Not even
comment
100%
code.
sure. I
Use
think so.
comment code WIG WIIG for no percent off of your order at Squarespace. Now, Kristen Wiig is the. This is according to maybe some slightly some old data, but we'll go with it. Kristen Wiig is her movie careers, the movie she has been in, appeared in, she's the highest ranking female alum for box office gross intake. So she's the highest ranking female. Can you name the top five SNL alums and their gross box office intake? Some of these might be
I would
obvious.
have to say I would have to say that Mike Myers has to be up there,
Mike
not
Myers
only
number
Wayne's
four.
World and Austin
Mike Myers,
Powers.
Mike Myers number
Adam
four.
Sandler would be up there.
The Sandman is five.
Okay.
These next three are when you hear them, they'll make sense, but it's a little bit of a stretch. So we got 4 and 5. Now we need 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Um, and this is just movies they were in. It's not, they didn't have to write them or they didn't have to produce them.
I think like they're considered the star of it. They can't just be like a cameo. They can't just have like appeared like Samuel L. Jackson. I think is like number one all time. Like he was in Star Wars and he was in the Avengers. He wasn't like that like a star of those movies, but these people are considered to be like a star or a leading person in the movie.
Will Ferrell would be up there.
He is not. Will Ferrell is, let's see,
Wow.
ranked eighth.
Wow. Okay. That's surprising.
Yeah.
He had some big hits. Um, wow. Will Ferrell's not up there. Okay.
But Will doesn't have like a big like chain. He doesn't have like a big like glut of a character or a series of movies that would have done it for him.
True. True. How about David Spade?
No, Spade is a good ways down there.
All right, I'll take some time to continue thinking about it.
Sounds good. So we come off of the monologue with the game show. I'll let you take over here.
Well, I Secret Word has always been a guilty pleasure of mine. I like Secret Word. I was very excited that they brought it back because it's one of my favorite Kristen Wiig characters. Usually there's a Bombay joke in there. Usually there's always the same idea of I said it, I said the secret word, and I know that you think that this sketch is stupid. I think that it is absolutely stupid. It couldn't be stupider. But for me, it works. I think it's just a fun, easy thing. I'm also a big fan of classic game shows, and so kind of the idea of a so-called Broadway star that absolutely no one has ever heard of is also kind of a funny thing to me because there's always celebrities on like Match Game or Password or whatever that I don't know who these people. I've never heard of them before in my life. The only reason I know who they are is because they were on game shows. So,
I didn't get like the Kate McKinnon character either. That was kind of a confusing part to me. And like it was Desmukes and Holt were the contestants, and I know they're rookies and you don't do a whole lot, but they were kind of just pointless. I don't get why they were even there.
yeah, Lauren Holt just kind of sat there and let Kristen Wiig do her thing, and Dismukes, had a couple lines, but yeah, I didn't totally. I think it was just Kate McKinnon being Kate McKinnon. I don't think there was any logic behind the character. It was just a silly character.
Now this was
At
supposed to
least
be
that's how I
set.
interpreted it.
This was supposed to be set back in the 50s, or when was it supposed to be set?
I thought the '60s was my guess.
Okay. Then I was also kind of confused with Keenan as a host. I know he is kind of the game show host du jour, but my knowledge of history would tell me that Keenan's probably not hosting that game show then.
Right.
But I digress.
He plays well with them though. But yeah, to your point, logically doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That was our SNL digital shore, which the Christmas bar has been raised pretty high. Last year was the parents trying to get their kids dressed in Christmas clothes and just going, it would be a debacle. And myself, being a parent, I can kind of relate to that one. This year's was about mom got a robe for Christmas. Everyone else got really cool stuff, and mom got a robe. And mom had to go make breakfast then for her family in her new robe while they played with their presents and opened up more presents. Enjoyed their full stockings. Mom's was empty, but she had her robe.
And it's certainly a very accurate description. I know a lot of moms that I know have already shared the clip on different social medias and saying, "Oh, this is so true." And yeah, it's definitely true. I just thought that the joke, A, it was very obvious, and B, once it was made, it was made. I didn't need it to keep on going with the empty stocking and with the red wine on the couch and the fact that the dog also got a robe. Like for me, it was just kind of a one-line joke that just kept going and going and going. Now I know you felt differently.
Yeah. I thought the nuance of the stocking piece was something I wouldn't have made that connection, but it's like that's also very accurate. And then the dog had all these presents. A side note: the dog was Peaches, Chloe Fineman's Shiba Inu puppy, was the star of that performance. And I thought she or he did a great job. I thought it was well done by the dog. Rocking
It's
that
funny
robe.
it's funny that you bring that up because I was surprised at how many people on social media noticed that it was Chloe Fineman's dog. Like there were a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, that's Chloe's dog." Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I know it wasn't as good as years past ones, but I thought it was just the observational stuff, and plus like to rhyming the random presents. I thought was really I thought they did a great job with that.
Well, there's no doubt it was creative. It was definitely creative.
We then had our sketch that appeared to take place in the 1940s in World War II, in which Kristen Wiig was a pinup girl type character who was coming to cheer up the boys. You're higher on Bowen Yang than I am, but man, he's really good in this singing role. But I think that's almost like all they're using him for is being kind of this diva-ish singer.
If it's possible to be typecast on Saturday Night Live, he's been typecast. He's singing, dancing, also very kind of stereotypically, maybe flamboyant or effeminate. They're not giving him much to work with. Now, what they do give him to work with, he does a great job with, in my opinion. But those roles are going to be overplayed very, very, very soon.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was kind of a clever bit. They use it's like a rap song. Is that a current song? I don't know that song they were doing showing our age.
I don't know.
But then like how he was playing the female part, she was playing the male part. Just stupid, but like it just worked because both those two were so talented as singers and performers. And then at the end, I thought it was, it was late at night, so I watched this part live. I thought it was Gal Gadot, the star of Wonder Woman, who was also starring Kristen Wiig. But it was in fact Dua Lipa, who was of course a musical guest. That makes a lot more sense. But it's always kind of interesting. Sometimes they choose to incorporate a musical act, sometimes they don't. I wonder if it's the conversation they have or how that goes down. I'm always curious, like why do some performers get into sketches and some don't?
Well, and I don't know much about Dua Lipa, except the two performances I watched, but she seems to be kind of that type of music, kind of a not necessarily rap, but kind of newer hip hop almost or dance music. So perhaps when they were writing the sketch, they said, "Oh, we've got her at our fingertips. Let's see if she wants to jump in." It did suit her very well. But we were just talking before we started taping here. I only knew it was Dua Lipa based on the fact that I knew she was the musical guest. I would have I wouldn't have had any idea. Which brings me to a question I wanted to ask last week that I forgot to ask. If you're in the audience of Saturday Night Live, and spoiler to our viewers, maybe one day we'll be able to interview someone who has seen Saturday Night Live, and like a person shows up in a sketch that isn't the host, that isn't a cast member, someone somewhere, there has to be like an applause sign or something, right? Because I wouldn't have any idea. I wouldn't have started clapping. I wouldn't have known who that was. How do they
I think
handle it?
there had enough people that knew who she was, and I'm sure they also like do ham that up. I mean, at one point on the live broadcast, they like cut into the army. They actually did this very sketch scene, and they showed like some person on the side, kind of getting people to clap. Like they had music playing, kind of to keep things festive and going. So they definitely have like that kind of piece to it. So yeah, I think they hit that at some point. They have to.
They must.
Because she's not as like ubiquitous as like if it were to be Fred Armisen, say. Like I think an SNL fan would know Fred Armisen, but they may not know Dua Lipa coming out. The sketch was solid. It was fun. Something different, something kind of weird and classical. I thought it was good.
Now, back to the trivia question. John Belushi?
No.
Really?
Well, what does John Belushi have?
He may have had the movies before he had Saturday Night Live, though.
But still, like I mean, movies weren't making $1 billion back in the 1970s.
That's true.
And nothing he would have been in would have been grossing $1 billion at the box office.
Well, I was thinking Animal House, Blues Brothers.
I mean, Dan Aykroyd is on the list, but Bill Murray's on the list.
Bill Murray has to be up there.
Bill Murray's number 7. Bill Murray's number 7.
Oh, he's not top 5.
No, he's not. He's not. It'll make sense when you hear them. They'll make sense. Okay. All right. So then this is where I stopped watching the live portion. I believe then we had Dua Lipa was after that. Is that correct?
Yep.
Her first performance. It's always intriguing when they come out with like a pop performer and has all the bells and whistles and the show lights and all that. I always wonder, like, it's a lot to put into just for one or two songs, I guess. That's always impressive to watch, but also it's a lot of work for just a very, very limited payoff. But obviously they have a lot of experience in doing that, so it always seems to work. But it always seems like a lot of effort to me just for a very, very small payoff.
I agree.
We then had Weekend Updates, or was Home Alone next?
Weekend Update was next, I believe.
Update was next, and kind of Colin
Jost. That was on Hulu. I can't say it was on the broadcast. But
Colin Jost gave us kind of a little tidbit of information that this was the last episode before the inauguration, that President Trump will be no longer president at the next episode. So that leads us to believe at the earliest, January 23rd? At
the very earliest, yeah. Yeah, and that would strike me as usually they have holiday weeks off, and I know that's Martin Luther King week, so it may be till the 30th.
You're also butting up against King Day is the 18th this year, I believe. So it's maybe they'll come back. Maybe that Tuesday will be the first day back. But also the NFL playoffs, they don't want to compete against those Saturday night games really and deal with that at all. So I would think that like the 23rd or the 30th is a logical choice. To come back, and maybe more with just giving them a chance to kind of do their thing and not rush back after the holidays and see what happened with the pandemic then.
Right.
I thought this was we've talked about before. Jost and Che really have an awesome rhythm. Other jokes were just fantastic. So well written. We'll talk about the very end of it in a little bit, but for guests we had Smokey Robinson.
Hmm.
Um, now
And was this as viral as they made it seem? Because I had only heard it mentioned once from somebody at work. I didn't realize this cameo had gone so crazy.
No, I didn't know this either. I know I grew up in an area with a large amount of Jewish people lived where I grew up, and so I was kind of accustomed to a lot of these things. And now one of the jokes to my Jewish friend was we always said Chappie Chanukah to him. It was always kind of a greeting we gave, and so I didn't see the humor in this. I also didn't see like some of the things that happened were kind of like I guess they kind of like niche comedy, I guess. But for me, it was like jokes I've been playing out for over 30 years. So for me, it wasn't all that like good.
Well, and I wonder if you have like a little bit of a younger audience, do they have any idea who Smokey Robinson is? I mean, that's a shame because Smokey Robinson's a legend, but I think you take 5 years off of our age, you're running into a whole bunch of people that say, I don't know who Smokey Robinson is.
I think like our age would be a stretch too, but like I guess like with Dionne Warwick, they made a whole sketch out of it, and so I bet people don't know who she is, but they know that she has this crazy show and she's kind of funky on Twitter. But I doubt
Sure.
they know anything about her that she was in Rocky or that like she knows the way to San Jose. Like I thought very few people would know that. But yeah, to build this in, this was not very. It was kind of clunky and making fun of how the Jewish people spell some words. It was just kind of whatever.
Well, and frankly, a Smokey Robinson impersonation is not hard to do. The man just has kind of a very high, soft voice. You or I could probably pull one off.
And
We
we
wouldn't.
haven't seen much.
We
We
wouldn't.
haven't seen. We wouldn't. We haven't seen much Chris Red lately. So this was kind of a sighting of his that was, we haven't seen much of him. The other guest, I forget her name, was the social media influencer.
Mhm.
It wasn't. It's not Heidi's best character, but it has some funny, clever moments and kind of poking fun at the whole influencer world.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
There's so many things I see on Instagram with the people, share on their stories or whatever, and it's very much like that. I'm very cool. I'm having a great holiday season. So for my dad, I'm getting him a retirement plan. Like I liked it for that reason.
I feel at peace when I'm at the beach thinking about my account at TD Ameritrade.
Yep. Yep.
And then the last part, this has become a tradition, was
Well,
Che and Joe.
don't forget Willie.
Oh, Will, that's right. Willie was on there, right? Willie was on there. Poor Willie. He had
Like
a
they
rough life.
always say, Willie, they replaced your organs with newspaper again.
If this wasn't Keenan, I would hate it.
Yeah, because it's Keenan and he has his old dog Lucius. I'm okay with Willie.
Yeah. And the last piece was Che and Joe writing jokes for each other. This is my favorite. I love this so much. I love it because it goes to places that humor can't go too much in this day and age. And the jokes they tell.
You throw Scarlett Johansson in there, and it just made it even better.
Well, yeah, that wasn't super edgy or like cringy, but it was funny still. It was funny. But
right. Yeah. To your point, there's usually two types of humor in these situations. They're either like very, very cringy or just really funny. And I think they hit both this year.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think there's been some reports of Joe kind of hinting at like, not saying he's leaving, but he's understand the fact he's been here a long time, and maybe he wants to do other stuff. But this is a tradition I will miss when that day comes, because their rapport has gotten so good, and like the way they can do this, it plus to like reading a joke they're seeing for the first time, like on live TV and this type of platform, just has to be so tough to pull off.
Right.
And kudos to them when they do it.
Does Dana Carvey count because of Wayne's World?
Wayne's World didn't make that much money, man.
Huh.
Wayne's World was not.
Wayne's World was like the biggest thing.
Okay, but in the mid '90s, it maybe pulled in like 100 million, maybe. Now,
so I've got to start thinking more recent. It's got to be more recent.
Well, you also have to think big franchises. You have to think big franchises that have multiple movies that have massive box offices. I mean, so
Mike Myers was, I guess, because of Austin Powers.
Partially, but here's a hint. There's a Mike Myers movie franchise that also made a lot of money, and that he's in. He's also in it with another former cast member. It's not live action; it's animated.
Oh, Shrek. Oh,
Shrek,
Eddie Murphy.
right?
Eddie Murphy. Of course, Eddie Murphy would be up there.
Eddie Murphy's number one. Eddie Murphy
Right.
has the Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to
No,
America,
48
Kissing.
Hours. He has Dreamgirls. I mean, yeah, Eddie Murphy's got a pretty good track record there.
Okay.
Eddie Murphy's number one. Okay. Moving on, then we come out of the update with The Teacher, a digital short about the show called The Teacher. My wife and I are recently watching this show, and so I've seen it firsthand, and it's pretty awful. The show is, and this sketch was, I thought Ego was great as the teacher turning down the students. It wasn't the most creative piece ever, but I thought Ego she stole the show.
So it's interesting you bring that up because I did not know that this teacher show existed, and someone mentioned it to me earlier in the week. And I had said to them, hey, there was a sketch on Saturday Night Live about that teacher show you brought up. And they said, oh, was it real cringy? And I said, actually, no, because the actress playing the teacher was so funny. And just the way she played it, the attitude she had, that I thought it was just a really funny sketch. I thought it was well done. Now, the whole Kristen Wiig thing at the end being the principal, I think that's when it jumped the shark. But prior to that, Ego really killed it.
Yeah, it wasn't the most creative piece, but I thought Ego was it. Some of her insults were just like things that you'd want to say if a student kind of came on to like that, but you probably couldn't.
Right.
We then had Home Alone, a deleted scene or something like that. Mm-hmm. And this was odd. I thought Melissa was great as Kevin McAllister. Otherwise, this was just like, what were they doing here?
I have no idea. It's one of those sketches that I sat here and thought, I hope Joe understands this because I don't know what's going on here. Obviously, the joke was that Kevin had his dad's credit card and he was willing to use it for all sorts of fun stuff. And the pigeon lady was trying to get him to, use it for her. And he gave the pizza. I get the joke. He was oblivious. I understand the joke, but does it need to be a sketch?
Yeah, no, that was. There was a lot of things they could have done with Home Alone, and this was not the right one. Not the right avenue for that. We then had The Grinch, played by Pete Davidson quite well, I will say that. Otherwise, this was a pretty disturbing sketch, I thought. I didn't.
Disturbing's a good word for it.
The jokes fell short. Some of the innuendos were a bit just predictable. I didn't really find much value in the sketch.
No. Nope. Me neither.
Moving on.
Nothing here.
We then have our last sketch was Sue, another Kristen Wiig recurring character, and I wrote down this is is this a problem with recurring people or alums that come back and do they lean on this stuff too much? This is maybe a hot take, but last year Eddie Murphy was the iconic episode. It was a Christmas episode last year, and brought back some of his old bits. It was great to see him. We're happy to have you back in our life again, but I thought the writing kind of gets lazy with these bits because they think let's just let isolation for Kristen Wiig, let her do her thing. And so at the core, they're not very good, but they're not really supposed to be good. They're supposed to just be this rekindling of this character. And these cast members have no chemistry with her at all. So it doesn't work the way it would work had this been 10 years ago and if Bill Hader and Fred Armisen were alongside her.
Well, I think that my problem was that if you're going to bring back recurring characters, go ahead. I mean, that's part of the show. I get it. But I wouldn't pick Sue. She wouldn't be in my list. If I was stunned that we didn't get a Target lady with a mask, something like a quarantine Target lady just seems to me to be the most obvious of the Kristen Wiig characters. I also said to you earlier in the day, if they bring back Fred Armisen, I won't be the least bit surprised if we get a holiday Garth and Kat.
I thought too, like a Zoom class with Gilly, Gilly from a Zoom classroom type thing. I never dig into it, but if you ever look for the sketch that got cut at dress or anything, sometimes they post them, sometimes they don't. I'm curious what got cut here.
They posted it, actually. It was the second part of the Middle-Aged Ninja Turtles. It was the
Okay.
animated, the middle-aged teenage. I don't remember the exact middle-aged Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Whatever.
Yeah, that
Um,
worked well for the quarantine, but I can't see that being a constantly running thing.
no,
No.
no.
We then had closed out with Dua Lipa in her second song. Again, just kind of a cool aesthetic with all this, and that was
She
it.
seems fun. She seems fun. I like her. She's kind of fun. I enjoyed her. I don't know anything. I'm
Yeah,
not going to download her music or anything, but she had a very nice presence about her.
she's pretty highly regarded. I know that much. For the credits, again, this is now we have gone full half season with no AJ Bryant at all. I didn't see Cecily either.
I didn't see
Um,
Cecily, no.
she wasn't in the sketch, or she wasn't in the show, or she wasn't in the closing. So again, who knows what that's about? But we've not seen her much this season. Otherwise, that was it. Only Maya Rudolph for special guest. I think for a normal Christmas show, that would be a lot higher.
Yeah, I agreed. And it was a surprise that it was just her. And oh well, I mean, it was nice to have her, of course, but she
Yeah.
didn't do too much after the first couple minutes there.
So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a solid C. I didn't nothing jumped out to me as memorable. A couple laughs here and there, but this was not really. I was a little disappointed.
As predicted, our grades match up pretty evenly because you're actually being a little more generous than I am, giving it a C minus.
Oh wow. Okay.
Secret Word made me laugh a lot, and I thought Update was really strong, and otherwise, honestly, huge thanks to Dua Lipa. Excuse me, because that's the
Oh,
only reason it wasn't a D plus.
okay.
She actually helped
All
bring
right.
it up to a C minus.
There you go. All right. Well, we were close off there. Now we well at least now a 6 week break for the show. If my math is correct there, but we'll be giving some content for our Patreon subscribers and for free.
Patreon
Maybe we'll
subscribers get it first.
absolutely. And we'll do some mid-season awards. Maybe talk a little about the holidays. Maybe talk a little bit about our Christmas party a couple years ago. We keep teasing that out. So I think at some point we got to give the folks a little piece of the action.
And we've got some great photos. We could put together perhaps a slideshow of some of the great things that were on display at the Saturday Night Live Christmas party. So we'll have some stuff coming. Don't know that it'll be every week, but we'll have some stuff coming for you.
And that includes a picture of us with our new friend Tim Kazurinsky.
Tim Kazurinsky was a very nice man. He let us know that the museum exhibition was being extended. That was insider info.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely.
Yeah, and also a picture of a young lady who she dressed up in the costume contest. Was a dead ringer for Rosanna Dana. Really enjoyed that as well.
Wonder if she got her prize ever.
They were having trouble finding her.
Now,
So I want to go back to the trivia question.
oh yeah.
Billy Crystal?
Nope. Billy Crystal is, let's see, number right behind Will Ferrell.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to give him to me.
Now, number 2 is Ben Stiller.
Oh, sure. Meet the Parents and all those. Yeah. Okay.
And then number 3, this is probably now number 1.
I forgot Ben Stiller was ever on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's understandable. Now, the last one, he's probably number 1 by now. This is an older list, but Robert Downey Jr. Being Iron Man, that's going to do it every time. I mean, those Avengers movies, they make lots of money. So Robert Downey's probably now number 1. But again, he's the guy too who you forget that he was on the show.
Yeah, both 2 and 3, I completely forgot they were on the show, but they do, as you said, they make perfect sense.
That's fair. Now, one of my favorite parts of the Christmas show, of course, is the end when you see the stagehand feeding snow into the machine. It goes up. Always enjoyed that part. Always kind of the cool little thing.
No ice skating at Rockefeller Center this year. Understood. Hope it comes back next year.
Yeah, we hope so. Well, there's a lot of things. We hope they're back next year.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back next year.
I hope we get will we get renewed? Are we getting renewed for our season?
I've spoken to the network president. We're good to go.
That's good news.
We're good to go.
Good news.
Well, if we don't record before the new year, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays, and we'll be back in 21 with all sorts of extra content. We're excited.
And Chappie Chanukah.
Absolutely. Say good night, Joseph.
Good night, Joseph.